Xbox had a surprise partner showcase, which was like, I guess for all intents and purposes, like a mini direct from Nintendo, but Xbox's own version.
Yeah, kind of.
Where they showed a lot of stuff we knew about, one or two new reveals, but I think the biggest thing
Didn't
to come out
expect
of
this
that,
to be there, I won't lie.
did not expect Metal Gear Solid 3 to make an appearance in a brand new trailer which shows what the game will look like. It's in Unreal Engine 5, right?
5, yeah, that's correct.
I mean, it looks good.
It's
like it's pretty.
It looks good. Okay, so it doesn't look bad. It looks good, but it also just looks like a
one-to-one.
I say this without sounding like really shitty. You know, like when you used to get those fan remakes in like Unreal Engine, they're like, look, I remade The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time in Unreal Engine. And you look at it, you're like, yep, that is definitely that, but boy, this looks weird. It just looks so sterile and clean, and
yeah,
that's the sort of vibe I get from this. But
I don't know. It's
not in a bad way. Like, I'm looking at it and like, yeah, I want to play this, but at the same time, it just doesn't. You know, when you look at something like RE4 Remake, you're like, this looks like RE4, but there's an artistic difference that makes it stand out as like, this looks fantastic.
Yes.
Like, I feel like this is missing that. I don't know what that element is, but it's missing that, you know. This just feels like a very one-to-one.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, is it a one-to-one game? Like, is it literally going to be, this is Metal Gear Solid 3, but it's just going to look really pretty? Like, look at the shiny
There's
environment.
no way they can do the, like, transition between areas like the old game. That could be nuts.
I don't know. Maybe they give you a switch in the menu and say, here you go.
That would be so stupid.
It would
That would be so silly. It has to be like a very seamless, you know, like interconnected world. It can't just be like, here's the small area with one guard, and to the left and the right are two different portals to other areas. Like,
no. But look, Metal Gear Solid 3 is a fantastic game, which I played many years after its heyday. I played it on Vita.
the best Metal Gear.
Still loved the heck out of it, but I do wonder if that game today holds up. Like, I think it would. Like, it's got its old
I think if you
charm,
play the
I
original,
guess.
definitely has like its charm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think it feels as old as 1 and 2, where, you know, like mechanically, especially 1, like feels a bit like weird to play if you don't already know how to play it. I think 3 feels weird. Like, the controls are strange, but like you can grapple with them. They're fine. Like, they're totally okay. It's a good game. I played it like a couple of years ago as well. It's
Yeah.
fucking great.
I mean, will I play Metal Gear Solid Triangle? You best believe I will.
I'll definitely play Metal Gear Solid Trigonometry. Yeah.
When is this coming out?
They haven't said,
given
as
a
far
date?
as I know.
Okay.
No, not even like a window. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, on that, if you are looking for some sweet nostalgia, you can play through all these games currently with the Metal Gear Solid collection, which launched
Which is
last week, I think. Or
also like the bare minimum for a collection, as far as I've read.
They're all in the same place.
It's more like,
there you go.
hey, you can play them now.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you wanted. You can play them. What about
you go.
nice modern day features? No, that's not what we
You
promised.
get nothing.
No.
So yeah, we got a little look at that. Do you want to jump to anything specifically, or must I just nitpick what we have?
Skull and Bones got delayed again.
I mean,
This is the new Activision Blizzard
is-
news.
Yeah, there you go. Oh yeah,
because
Xbox got Activision Blizzard. We covered that behemoth over like a year or two. Skull and Bones is our replacement because you're going to hear about it all the time. This week delayed, next week delayed even further. The following week cancelled. Maybe we don't know.
it's just the most Wow. So Eurogamer sums it up quite nicely here. Been in development since 2013, repeated delays, and then its official unveiling happened in 2017. I was there. I was at that E3.
6 years ago.
And then it's just been delayed, apparently rebooted, delayed. It is now going to come out in the first few months of 2024, if you believe that. I mean, if you take us back a year, it was meant to come out in the early months of 2023. That didn't happen. So who the fuck knows what's going on?
This game is going to launch. I sincerely hope it doesn't tank, but just the development hell it's gone through, I'm like, I don't know how good this game will be. Is it worth it to have a pirate ship simulator, which is an interesting premise, but good God, is it worth the 10 years it's taken to develop? Like,
no.
I mean, are they hanging on to it now purely because like they own the idea of like, well, no one else has made a pirate simulator game?
I think it's the biggest like sunk cost fallacy ever. It's like, we have put so much money into this, we just can't.
You just can't
like afford. Yeah.
Well,
also delayed was Ubisoft's latest mystery large game, which back in May, before it was even revealed, Kotaku reported that it was like Ubisoft's massive Star Wars game, which was then revealed at E3 as Star Wars Outlaws, if you recall. That was actually originally meant to launch before April next year, which seems insane. That's obviously now been pushed to the next financial year. So it can come out probably end of next year, which is when I assume it will
that makes
come out.
Sense.
Yeah. Still on the slate for this financial year, so coming out before April next year, is Assassin's Creed Nexus VR, the VR Assassin's Creed thing. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. Do you remember that's coming out in December?
Good God.
Cool. Just Dance 2024. Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. Very keen on that.
That looks way better than it has any business looking.
That looks bloody fantastic. Yeah. I'm really keen on that. And then Skull and Bones. Oh, wait, hold on. That's for... Wait, this means... Okay, yeah. Free-to-play titles for Rainbow Six Mobile, The Division Resurgence, and X-Defiant are also scheduled to arrive before 31st of March next year. But
is
X-Defiant just got indefinitely delayed, so who knows about that one. I mean, X-Defiant was meant to be out now, but it isn't.
Listen,
so, yeah.
Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown is the only thing I have my eye on. That's
same.
so good.
Very keen on that. Same.
It's real good. So yeah. Maybe they'll surprise us with the Skull and Bones next year. But you know what else we're getting surprised with next year?
Yes.
Apparently something big. And Final Fantasy VII Rebirth devs have a big surprise planned for its most iconic scene.
I forgot this is out in like fucking February.
Mm-hmm. It's 3 months away, just about. Love to
Holy
see
shit.
So
that's crazy.
If you've never played Final Fantasy VII, you don't know any of its story beats, and you've somehow missed.
I think you muted yourself. Okay, never mind. What? Your sound is back now.
Oh,
that was
weird. So weird.
Nope, muted again.
What? How am I muted?
Now you're back.
I'm so confused. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I literally did not touch anything. So if you've not played Final Fantasy VII, you know nothing about the story, and you've missed this spoiler, somehow turn away.
This is like as big a spoiler as like Bruce Willis being dead in The Sixth Sense. It's like you're born knowing this spoiler. Like
it's the first thing parents teach their children. They say, "Listen, welcome.
Darth Vader is Luke's father.
Bruce Willis is dead in The Sixth Sense, and Aerith dies in Final Fantasy VII." Hate to break it to you. So we obviously getting a Final Fantasy VII remake across 3 parts. We've had the first part, and then the second part is going to cover that iconic scene. Also, we believe, because the first part of Final Fantasy VII's remake is basically established like, hey, here's the same core beat, but also we've got free creative liberty now. because reasons, which I'm not going to get into.
And they have been using that liberty.
And,
I mean, if you played the first part, you'll know that, I mean, you literally fight against the expectations of where the story is meant to go. Like, they are getting very meta about, like, going in a different direction.
So there are big question marks on whether Square will actually kill off Aerith or not in the remake, and we don't know yet. But this article is basically them saying like, "Oh, you have no idea what's going to happen."
Spoiler:
so
Aerith kills Sephiroth.
Oh my god, can you imagine? I mean, I was saying before we started recording, maybe they kill someone else. Like, can you imagine they say, "Oh, Aerith is fine, but Tifa dies." The outrage, but the impact it will cause. People won't forget that either. Like, 20 years from now, when they remake 7, they'll be like, okay.
Here's my pitch. Here's my pitch.
I'm ready.
Zack is back, right?
Yes, he does.
He does.
Oh,
saving
no.
Aerith.
Oh my god. So, I could 100% believe that. But I think she has to die at some point.
The tears.
That would be so cruel. They bring him back like, your boy Zack, he's fine, but we're gonna kill him again. I'd be very upset. But I could actually get behind that. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's a big surprise, actually.
Yeah.
Rebirth out in 3 to 4 months. It is so close. I cannot wait. Yeah. In other news, hang on. So I thought I lost a news piece. Super Mario Wonder is the fastest selling Mario game ever in Europe.
Wild.
It is wonderful, so Nintendo would say. Never miss opportunity to slot that in anywhere now with Mario Wonder. Do they have a number here somewhere? Or is it just literally Nintendo going, hey, that's the best selling game?
No, basically they said, the company announced, this is on Eurogamer, the company announced the statistic today on social media, though did not provide any concrete sales. We'll probably only get those, when they do their quarterly sales updates and whatever, and we see like Mario's sold like 10 billion copies or whatever.
I mean, Elephant Mario, look at this.
Wild, yeah. I don't know what these sort of figures are for like Mario Odyssey or whatever in Europe. We'd have to like add those up to kind of get an idea. But if Nintendo is saying this, I back them. I don't think they'll just say this for shits and giggles. Like also, they specifically mention Europe and not America and Japan. So obviously,
that's a big deal.
Europe made a big impact. Yeah. So yeah, that's cool. It's great that people still have an appetite for 2D Marios. I think there's a lot of appetite for the 3D stuff now, and I think the 3D games are really, really good. But I think the 2D games haven't been as good as they could have been for a while, and it's like Mario Wonder. I mean, I've heard anecdotally some people saying it's like their favorite 2D Mario ever.
Sure.
That's huge. So, yeah.
Next 3D Mario game, Bowser's Fury 2, I'm telling you. That's... I would love that. Did you play Bowser's Fury? No. Or did you? I don't.
I haven't yet. No.
It is really worth playing. Honestly, if you want 3 to 4 hours to kill on a good 3D Mario game, it is such a good pitch for what the next the 3D Mario game could be, and I 100% believe that's what it is going to be. It's real good.
I'm curious to see what they do. I feel like another Mario game would have to be another 3D one would have to be like a launch title for
Switch 2,
for the next Switch.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I could almost see it being. I mean, I don't know if that would be it, but how Breath of the Wild was like across. I mean, you could play Breath of the Wild on the Wii U, which is quite wild to think.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if the next Mario game is that. Like, it's a launch title for the new Switch, but also available on the Switch. But I don't know. Do they want to push people to the new console? Probably. So we'll see. Last 2 pieces of news. Sony confirms the departure of veteran exec Connie Booth after more than 30 years. Who is Connie Booth? I don't even know.
Yeah, so Connie Booth has been at Sony, like it says, for 30 years, for a very long time.
That is a lifetime.
Yeah, one of the longest standing executives at the company. Worked with your Sean Layden's and now your Jim Ryan's and stuff like that. So yeah, she's been there since 1995. She was a producer at Naughty Dog and helped launch Crash Bandicoot. And has worked on pretty much all the famous like PlayStation titles since then. There's been a bit of like weirdness around this departure because
I'm reading
Sony's framing it as a departure, but there's like indications that she was actually fired. So David Jaffe, former game director at what was that studio called?
That's not
Sony Santa Monica, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Discussed it in a video saying that Booth had been fired amidst longer-term internal tensions and PlayStation Studios moving to develop more live service games. So there's this whole like conversation around whether or not there is this infighting inside Sony amongst like executives in PlayStation Studios who are like butting heads over this direction for live service games. And it seems like Connie Booth and Jim Ryan were really pushing in this direction of live service, seeing it as the future and the sustainable future, whereas PlayStation Studios and specifically head of Worldwide Studios Herman Hulst did not agree with this. And I don't think necessarily like Herman Hulst has the power to oust both Jim Ryan and Connie Booth, but with Jim Ryan going, there maybe is a shift in sentiment over this idea, and with Booth now being there for so long and like having backed this idea, just maybe makes sense for her to move on. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is also any indication that Sony is deviating from its live service games, because like it has multiple projects announced that it is still ongoing with. So, and furthermore, David Jaffe in his video, like, he made the suggestion or said he had heard that Herman Hulst, when he came into his position as head of Worldwide Studios, basically wanted to axe all Japan studios. And I just do not believe that. Like, straight up, categorically, I cannot envision, firstly, A, why that would make sense, or B, that would actually be a conversation had. So, like, take things that I would say take things that are said on David Jaffe's podcast with a grain of salt.
But he's no longer at Sony, right? He hasn't been for a long
He's
time.
not, but he keeps citing like friends that he still has there, which I'm sure is very true.
He's connected,
But, as anything, like even at a company that you work for, just because you've heard something doesn't necessarily mean it's true, especially when it comes into like C-suite executives or stuff. By the same token, things said in meetings don't necessarily carry the same context that they do. Like, you're hearing about Herman Hulst wanting to axe Japan studios, and that makes a headline today. Just like a few weeks ago, the headline of Phil Spencer wanted to buy Nintendo was floating around, where if you actually read into that story, it was more Phil Spencer trying to convince another executive that buying Nintendo was a terrible idea by laying out a plan of how they would go about buying Nintendo. Like, kind of like showing this is a terrible idea by showing you what the idea would be, you know what I mean? But everyone just remembers, no, Microsoft wanted to buy Nintendo. And now PlayStation wants to axe Japanese studios. It's like, that's not necessarily maybe what the actual conversation was, but anyway.
No, but also on that, it's now I know we're deviating from the story here, but the whole Sony live discussion, the game, the live discussion vision, it's just weird to me, given that like we've just had Spider-Man 2, which is selling so much money. God of War last year sold so many copies. I don't know, will that still exist long term? I don't know, but they definitely winning on the single player front. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think everyone's still in that sort of like, they're looking at the Fortnites and the Apexes and stuff, and they're like, if we just have one game that has that same impact, like it is a game changer, so I think they'd always pursue it. I do agree with you. I hope it doesn't come at the expense of their single player stuff, which I think is still their biggest strength,
Yeah.
even though, and this doesn't apply to Spider-Man because I think Spider-Man somehow sidestepped this, but prior to Spider-Man, I started getting the sense that a lot of Sony's like story narrative-based games were all following the same sort of formulaic like template, and it was getting very evident and very tiresome. And I think that's why I didn't enjoy God of War Ragnarok as much as I did the first one, which felt very novel at the time. So yeah, they've got two pitfalls to kind of like navigate now, like keeping story-based games interesting and fun, and like whatever the hell this live service push is.
Yeah.
So,
we'll see.
yeah. Remember that one with Jade Raymond there? Playgrounds or Fair Play or Fair Games? I don't know. It had a weird name. That game looks shit.
Hate to see it. Also, Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog's The Last of Us.
Apparently cancelled.
Where is
Apparently.
it? Don't know.
Yeah.
Last piece of news for this week. So earlier in the week, we saw, hey, Robert Pattinson's Batsuit is on Epic, and we're all like, hey, Darren, look what they've just added to Arkham Knight. Go, like, here's another reason to play the game. And Darren was rightfully like, oh my God, nice suit, very cool. That suit's since been taken off from Epic Games Store, and it's not clear why, says Eurogamer.
It was weird because it was only added to one version of the game. It was the Epic Games Store version. And then it was up for like a couple of hours and then just removed.
I mean, it was there. There are screenshots and everything. Like this isn't, from what I can see, like a mod or a hoax or anything. Like, it is legitimately there. I don't know what happened though. Like, I think this article does go on to say that the prevailing theory among fans appears to be that its arrival was premature, caused by some behind-the-scenes development mishap. That Pattinson suits the Pattinson suit's official release, presumably as a free update for all platforms, would coincide with the upcoming Switch port of the Arkham trilogy.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah. I was wondering what sort of like anniversary or big event connected to the game was actually on the horizon, and I forgot that. Yeah, it's coming to Switch. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, they'll put that out and be like, and hey, on PC and other consoles, you get the Pattinson suit.
I wonder what Arkham Knight will look like on the Switch. I'm sure
not good.
Yeah, because it's a visually stunning game. But what do you think about Asylum and Arkham City? They should be.
I think Asylum will transfer pretty well because that's also a bit more of a cartoony, not cartoony, but more stylized look. Whereas, you know, Arkham Knight is definitely more in the realism side of it. I don't know though. Arkham Knight worked on PlayStation 4. That's where I played it.
Yeah. The Switch is
ran at 30 FPS, but it worked.
The Switch is, for all intents and purposes, like a PS4 and Xbox One machine, almost.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. But I mean, the stuff that has worked on there has transitioned kind of well over to this. I don't know, maybe. It could work. I think if they put in the work, Doom worked extremely well on the Switch. Doom Eternal, not so much, but the first Doom worked incredibly well. And I think that was like a year after Batman, so yeah. Well, different engine entirely, but yeah.
You get the point. I think that we said there was no news this week. There was news, but I mean, there was no like, whoa, huge headlines.
No bangers.
But that is news for this week.